Hello. Not since Sonny and Cher has there been such an iconic duo. We once destroyed Gen Con by playing the world's shortest game of Twilight Imperium.
Only 5.5 hours.
I couldn't remember. I just remember it being short.
And again, I tell people that story, and there's two reactions to that. The first reaction is people who don't know and go, wow, that's a really long board game. And then the other reaction is the people who do know and go, that's it?
I have talked to Matt Wilkins, and he has told that story like 3 times in the last month. So, anyway, welcome to the third most watched Amazon podcast, Star Wars podcast, apparently.
We're the third?
I don't know. So what happened was last 2 weeks ago, I'm perusing Star Wars stuff that might be interesting to me on Audible, and our podcast popped up number 3. The podcast for the last episode hasn't even been uploaded.
So wait, we have a 6-month. It's been 6 months since the last one. The last one hasn't even been uploaded.
I forgot the password to our Anchor. I haven't felt like fixing it. I've been working. I got so many podcasts now, Dylan. I can't keep them straight.
Yeah, I get it. The oldest one always falls to the wayside.
No, that's Backpedalers.
Oh, okay.
That's
the oldest or falls to the wayside?
That falls to the wayside. I can't get along with the co-host of that. At least I can talk to you. I see you still have your golden shower couch.
For the moment.
He's trying to get rid of the golden shower couch.
I'm not trying. Okay,
we should raffle it off for charity, Dylan.
It's not that I'm trying to get rid of the golden shower couch. It's just that if I ever move, I have no reason to take this couch with me. So if I move, this couch does not come with me.
That's bullshit. I don't approve of this. I don't like this. I am not thrilled. So anyway, let's talk some news, some sad news.
Yes.
Dave Wolverton has passed? Question mark?
I believe so. Also known, Dave Wolverton's pen name, his real name is Dave Farland. It's actually kind of weird because I got a text from Matt yesterday around 2:30ish our time that said, Dave Farland passed away. Can you put an article up? And I'm like, no, I'm at work. I'm probably going to be here for another 4 hours. And then he said, oh, okay. And then by the time I got home, I had seen various other reports from earlier in the day that had said he passed away. But then there was a Facebook post from his account that was from his son that said he hasn't passed away. He's just in the hospital and they're waiting for all the family to get here to decide what to do. And then I think of today of recording this podcast, it's the 14th. There was another update that came around noon Pacific time around that said, yeah, he passed.
This is a shame. We met him at Gen Con. So I brought up Gen Con. He signed one of your books, 2 of mine. One of mine didn't make it out of the fire, which I had to rebuy my copy of Jedi Apprentice, which I actually started rereading. That's the irony. A week ago, I started rereading Jedi Apprentice, The Rising Force. But I have my copy of Courtship of Princess Leia that he did sign. Let me actually. It says Dare to Dream.
Oh, nice. I actually don't think he signed mine because I only have a paperback copy and I don't think I brought it.
Yeah, you did. You signed it. I remember it. So, yeah. Okay. So what happened was we ran into him. Dylan and I ran into him the first night of Gen Con, and we both got super fanboy nervous. And I'm like, excuse me, are you Dave Wolverton? And he's like, yeah. And we're like, oh, well, we're big fans of your Star Wars work.
Here's 80,000 books. Didn't Matt get all of?
I was going to get to that. So he and I talked a bit. Dylan didn't say anything. I don't think you said.
Yeah, I think I only met him once because you and Matt ran into him like 2 or 3 times, and I only ran into him one. I was only there for one of them.
Yeah, so I ran in. So when he signed my copy of Jedi Apprentice: The Rising Force, he's like, "Wow, this is the nicest copy. Have you read this?" I'm like, "Yeah." When I was a kid, he's like, and he told this story about this kid who that was the only book he liked reading, and it was held together with duct tape. And he just had all these fascinating stories. Which we've talked about some of it before, like back in 2016. But he was like really impressed with mine, and I said like, "Oh, my mom would not buy me another book if it fell apart," which is true. So then I was going. Matt and I were texting the next morning, and I run into Matt, and Matt and Dave Wolverton it's before one of his lectures or like on a lunch or like a break or something. And Matt and him are just chatting it up because this is how Matt is like the most sociable. You probably all guessed it. He's one of the most sociable people I've ever met, and he is just so like he's so personable. And he and Mr. Wolverton we're chatting it up, and I came in, and they were discussing the adventures books or missions. I can't remember what they're called that he did. He did these like he did some of the episode 1 adventures, I think, and then which the books, not the comics, which were these kids books that you also had like a game that you played with them, because several kids authors did them, like Ryder Winham did a bunch too. But he also did these like missions ones where the original trilogy.
Yeah, I know
what you're super expensive.
Talking about.
I can't remember. It doesn't matter. And he and Matt were just talking it up, and it was really nice. He was a really nice guy. He's one of 2 authors I met during that. The other one was Margaret Weiss, who created Dragonlance. Tracy Hickman did, and I met her. But yeah, no, this was the only book that I say that this in a textbook that just happened to be in my backpack were the only 2 things I saved when my house burned down. The only 2 books. So that's even more cherished now than it already was.
Yeah.
And I named this episode Dare to Dream because it kind of also goes with our theme for this episode, which initially was a Star Wars Your Dream EU video game. We had a bunch of EU games came out in the last year, like re-release, like to the Switch and stuff. And I was watching some YouTube videos on these, and been watching a lot of original Battlefront 2 videos because I kind of want to play them, but I haven't had a lot of time to do that these days. And I was initially like, dream video game. But then I was like, why don't we dare to dream? This video game is a multimedia property. You're going to get your comics, you're going to get your books. Maybe someone does a score for the book that has nothing to do with the game. Like Shadows of the Empire. So I'll go first because I sprung the second idea on Dylan 30 seconds before we started recording.
Which was about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. Anyway, hello, Rob D. And
we're actually live. I thought we were recording this.
Oh, no. I decided to spice things up since it's the 2 of us. There isn't a Noah to wrangle.
to derail us and cause you to have to edit it for 3 hours.
Yeah, which is probably another reason why I haven't touched the last episode. I even think of that. Anyway, so let's talk. My idea was with the game. So games are not really, they're like secondary canon, right?
Mm-hmm.
The events happen, but not necessarily the way you play them. I thought of a legacy game that is the Rise of Darth Crate. Because we don't get a lot of Darth Crate. He's there. And like I think he's kind of referenced in Legacy of the Force. I can't remember. And he's like kind of in Fate of the Jedi a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The one Sith. And just his rise after Fate of the Jedi. And sort of his takeover of the galaxy that we see in issue 1 of Legacy. I'm going to do a game of that. But this game would be a mix of Battlefront and Empire at War. And a little bit of Mount and Blade. I was thinking like a trade system, like negotiation. So it's sort of an RPG, but then you have your big battles that are like Battlefront, like Elite Squad Battlefront, where you have a space battle and a land battle, and you can go back and forth, but designed better than it is in an Elite Squadron. So Elite Squadron's got some issues.
Right.
But I could see a good series of novels, like a trilogy off this. I could see a comic series. John Ostrander, Jan DeRusso writing and drawing. I think it'd be fun. It's an interesting story that was not yet flushed out. We know a little bit from the Legacy comics of what happened to Darth Crate. I think it'd be fun to have a boss battle where you fight Obi-Wan. We got to shoehorn in a Legacy character.
Well, Crate did fight Obi-Wan.
He did. So we could just have a flashback. Or maybe a training level where you're with the Tusken Raiders. You have your like party dynamics so you can control them. I can see that. And then we flash forward into the actual game.
Okay.
But we could see like just a whole, I could see a series of that. Rob D says that his dream Legends games would be Jedi Starfighter 2 and 3. Okay, I didn't play a lot of Jedi Starfighter. It was one of those PS2 games. By the time I got my PS2, you couldn't find it. So I ended up getting it at the PlayStation Store for my PS4. And I played a little bit of it. Flying games on console are not necessarily my thing. I prefer it on PC, preferably with a joystick, but you know, like I've played more of Starfighter, the one where you play you fly the Naboo fighters.
Yeah, I played Starfighter. I haven't played Jedi Starfighter.
It's fine. You fly a Jedi Starfighter. You have one of the characters returns from Starfighter in Jedi Starfighter.
Okay.
He also had a comic that was actually pretty good.
Is it Nim?
Yeah, I think it's Nim. Yeah. And the other Jedi is a council member, I think. The one that's got the lobes, Addy
Gallia?
Yeah, Addy Gallia. I think that's who pilots the Jedi Starfighter, because Episode 2 was new. That was the new ship for one of the new ships for Episode 2. But yeah. Anyway, Dylan.
I don't know. See, I have an answer for both, but they're not the same answer.
Let's go with it.
Because video game, right? One of my favorite games as a kid was the battle state. Not really as a kid; it was like teens, but battle stations, both Midway and Pacific. It was like it was a World War II naval vehicle combat simulator where
Oh,
you could control like the actual ships, like capital ships and stuff. And there was even like a fleet aspect where you would have like fleets of ships and you could go and individually control each and every one of them. And I've always wondered because every time we get a Star Wars game involving vehicle combat, it's either ground vehicles or starfighters. We don't really get a like something where you're actually controlling a star destroyer or you're controlling a Mon Cal cruiser. So,
yeah.
and there's a lot of newer games like I don't play them, but War Thunder and World of Warships kind of do this as well, where you can control a ship and fight other ships. Though those are more of arcadey kind of stuff. But
Mhm.
I've always wanted. Well, now that you brought this, I always thought, man, it would be really cool if there was just a game where I could just control a Star Destroyer and go around and fight other things with it instead of just being in like the Starfighter the whole time.
Well, can't you control flagship cruisers in Empire at War?
So you can, but that's like a more of a point and click thing. In like
Oh
battle
yeah, this is
stations, you could literally like man the guns and like actually aim with the cannons, and you could choose to switch between your artillery and your anti-aircraft battery and or you could like drop torpedoes or depth charges even, and you kind of had that freedom where you can go about. You were literally driving the ship and 4.ong. Okay. And yeah, I've always wanted like literally steering and shooting and like navigating and like also um commanding at the same time.
Mhm.
And air multimedia project. See, if New Jedi Order didn't exist, I would say that, but like New Jedi Order era,
Yeah.
but New Jedi Order already exists. I guess I mean if you could do it over again and have Invasion run concurrent with the New Jedi Order, that way there could be a little bit of a crossover between the two. And
Yeah.
it's not just something tacked on. But as for something that doesn't exist, multimedia project. I don't know if you how you could get a game about this. And I guess it's kind of cheating because the new canon technically did this. But the or they did this time period. They didn't really do this. But a multimedia project around the Bane line of um, the in-betweens, basically Zana the Tenebrous, I think would be a fairly interesting multimedia project that you could do.
How would you do it?
I think I think it would have to be a mix of novels and comics, like kind of a 50-50 mix where um because as much as we always talk about like Lucino and Carbushin, I don't think Lucino and Carbushin could in any reasonable amount of time make enough books for the 28 Sith Lords that take up that time.
Fair enough. Yeah. Um. hmm.
So yeah, just get like maybe like five or so authors and like a few comic and like have them each focus on one, like maybe even alternated as this Sith, like Zana would get, for example, a comic about her, and then Cognis would get a novel or trilogy and do it kind of that way.
Okay. Okay. Hmm. Interesting.
Assuming, of course, Cognis takes. I think Cognis takes the man. Yeah, because Cognis takes the mantle, and she takes on Darth Millennial. I think is his name.
Well, in Terry Brooks's novel, Zana was a dude, and they were all men. It's a one-off like sentence in a paragraph of the origin of the Sith, which had never been told at that point.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's
Well, no, Jedi versus Sith was out at that point, wasn't it?
no. Jedi vs. Sith was like 2000.
I thought it was 99.
Let's take a look.
Because I thought that was pre or at the same time as Phantom Menace. Because Bane came from Phantom, or Lucas invented Bane around the time of the Phantom Menace.
Yes, because Bane is mentioned by name. No, it was released April 2001 to September 2001.
Okay, it's not as old as I thought it was.
No, but it's still pretty old. Like, I don't remember it coming out. I just remember afterwards there was Tales of the Jedi, and then there was Jedi versus Sith, and good luck ever finding it. Which Jedi versus Sith, that's one I don't have over there.
It's like what, 4 issues?
Yeah, it's not good. I reviewed it on the channel way back. It is not good at all. Path of Destruction, what it fixes from Jedi versus Sith is really nice. I mean, freaking, I can't remember her name.
Githany?
Githany's death in the comic is so stupid. She just walks up, she's like, we could have been the 2 or something like that, and she turns to dust in front of everyone, like flipping bug, and like, I can't remember what all those.
Yeah, her was it her brother or her cousin that she blew
cousins.
Were they both I thought one was her brother.
No, the 2 boys I think were brothers, and she was the cousin.
Okay, I knew she blew up one of their hands.
Yes, that's the one that's like crying. That's the one that Githany was seducing to the dark side, who ends up killing his brother. And then I can't remember what her little kid name is at all, but one of them's named Bug, and they have the stupidest names. It's from a child's perspective as they're dumped into a war zone.
Because Lord Hoth is recruiting children, which doesn't get said enough. Lord Hoth is recruiting children to fight the Brotherhood of Darkness.
Because he's desperate for Jedi. And the children are like cooking for the adults. And like, so I think it's Bug runs away and joins the Sith so he can fight. Just be an angst lord. But he ends up coming back in Rule of 2.
Yeah, he does. He's in Path of Destruction as well, kind of. He's mentioned. And yeah, he's
because in Path of Destruction's epilogue, she has already done what she did. She doesn't do it in front of Bane. Because the whole last issue is so rushed. At once the thought bomb happens, it's just a spoilers for anyone who hasn't read Path of Destruction or this obscure comic, which they wrote another book. There's another Star Wars book. It's like a guidebook called Jedi versus Sith as well, which is also confusing. Which that doesn't get said enough. There is a Jedi versus Sith like guidebook.
Oh, yep. By I think that's a Ryder Wynnum one. Hold on, I have it on my shelf. I can't read the name.
Yeah, because everyone crapped on Disney rename like using The Last Jedi. There already was a Star Wars book called The Last Jedi,
and it's also bad.
That is true, and or the fact that Chuck Wendig used Empire's End when there already was an Empire's End, but no one talks about the Jedi versus Sith got used twice in the EU. No one talks about that at all.
Or how many times was Clone War, some variation of Clone Wars used?
Well, yeah, that's true. How many times was Jedi Order used? 20.
At least. But anyway, yeah, spoilers for the end of Path of Destruction. It's bad. No, it's not bad. A lot of people end up...
Path of Destruction's good. It fixes a lot of the things that Jedi versus Sith did that was dumb. And Rule of 2 also does a bit of retconning on accident.
Yeah, but Rule of 2's ending is Very convenient. I thought it was very convenient the way
I
it
liked
ended.
it. I like it. It does feel a little like Rule 2 feels a little rushed throughout,
Yeah. I
but
just I don't like I'm looking at that situation and I'm like, I don't think the Jedi would have bought I don't know. Their whole thing was, oh, a crazy Sith that we missed managed to kill like 5 masters, and then we just like ended him in like 2 seconds when like we all confronted him. No, I don't think the Jedi were that stupid. I think they would have been like, how did it wait? I think someone would have been, hey, wait a minute, how did this crazy guy kill 5 masters on his own?
yeah.
That's just me.
That duel though, that whole
That
fight.
duel is great. It's
Oh, it's one
honestly,
of the
it's
best.
great up until the Jedi confront her cousin and they defeat him easily and they go, "Well, guess that's the Sith. Done." And then they walk away. That's when Path of Destruction, sorry, Rule of 2 loses me.
Yeah. And Dynasty of Evil is also a bit in hindsight is a little convenient as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're fine. They're really good books.
Yeah, up
All
until
Star
that.
Wars all Star Wars books have like their convenient things. Like the Thrawn trilogy is full of like, oh, that's really convenient.
Oh, my absolute favorite, which is so stupid, but it's so funny when it happens, is in Maul Shadowhunter.
Oh
When
god, yeah.
when
Are
he's
you
on
talking about the ending?
Yeah, when he's on the platform running away from Maul, and he's just like, he's trying to kill me, and he just so happens to run into Palpatine in his inner circle, and is like, "Thank you, oh man, Palpatine, you have to listen to me. Your planet's about to get invaded."
Oh yeah. That
Oh,
wouldn't be so bad if we didn't his son wasn't in so many books.
yeah.
That's why that's so wonky.
Well, I didn't hate MedStar, and I thought
The
I
Met
th-
starts good.
and I didn't also hate Coruscant Nights. Like I wouldn't reread it, but I didn't like hate my time reading it.
You hated The Last Jedi.
I did hate Last Jedi.
I think Michael Reeves also didn't like it either, and that's why it's not called Coruscant Nights Book 4.
It should be, but it's not.
It's not. Uh, So, no, Quality Autism and I were talking about this and how the EU, we can get into it a little bit here because I want your opinion on this.
Mhm.
The EU started to fall apart after the Clone Wars multimedia project wrapped up. We used to say it was 2008 when things started going south,
Mhm.
but like Legacy of the Force happened, which is it's not awful, but it has its bad stuff.
Well, the KOTOR comics and Legacy started after the
Dark Horse did fine for little while. I'm talking Del Rey.
Del Rey. Okay.
Del Rey starts getting a little like didn't know where to go with things. They did the Old Republic thing, like they did the Bane books, and yes, Papa Wedge, Dylan is alive.
This is correct. Last I checked.
Is he dead inside? We don't know.
All right, so 2005. So I actually have the thing I did for the expandeduniverse.com when I ranked all the books based and did a bunch of stuff based on their user ratings. I actually have a list now of all the novels that came out in chronological order. So what came out after that? So after Revenge of the Sith was Dark Nest, Dark Lord, and then that was the remainder of 2005. And we had Outbound Flight, Triple Zero, Legacy of the Force. Bane Path of Destruction was 2006.
Yeah, but I mean, like, we're really starting to like New Jedi Order happens.
Hmm.
What do we do? Oh, I guess we do another event. And Quality Autism, we all, for those of you who don't know, he really doesn't like Troy Denning, and he really doesn't like Karen Travis. Those were two of the three people involved. And Troy Denning really takes over for the post Jedi stuff going forward, which some of what Troy Denning does is very questionable, but some of it's good. But by the time it's just like things were inconsistent, whereas like things before we have like the high point of Star Wars is during the prequel era,
Mm-hmm.
which makes sense. There's 3 movies coming out, and they had to be overshadowed because they're not good movies. Whereas like now with the new canon, they can't overshadow how bad those movies are because their new canon stuff is so much worse. I know that's a controversial opinion, but this podcast is called Star Wars Legends, not
This
Star
is
Wars,
correct.
not Star Wars New Canon. We do not cover that really anymore, or try not to. I try not to have anything to do with Disney Star Wars unless they release Legends content, which they've done quite a bit recently. But anyway, by the time 2008 happens, it's like the death is
Yeah,
where
I
like
think definitely by 2008, everyone
because
had started to go bad. But
we
two,
get
yeah, there's not really. I'm looking at it now. 2006, 2007. There's not really a lot happening that's not either Republic Commando or Legacy of the Force. Like Outbound Flight, Allegiance, Bane. That's it. Outbound Flight, Allegiance, Bane, Legacy of the Force, and Republic Commando is all that was coming out immediately
yes.
after Multimedia Project.
Mhm. Then 2008 happens, and 2 big things happen.
Coruscant Knights and Clone Wars. Oh, and Force Unleashed.
I was going to say Force Unleashed and Clone Wars. I forgot Coruscant Knights came out that late.
Oh, Millennium Falcon came out as well.
Yeah. When did Plagueis come out?
That was 2012.
Okay. See, there were still some good things coming out here or there during in like when Star Wars was really starting to die out. But you notice that with the exception of what Troy Denning's crew were doing, where we have like Fate of the Jedi, things are starting to become one-off things. You get your Kenobi, you get your Plagueis, you get Millennium Falcon, you get the like Stealth and Siege, which I mean that's a 2 off, but it should have been 1 book. You get Wild Space, No Prisoners. Granted, they're supposed to be in the same series, but they really don't fit as a series.
Mm-hmm.
And then the real thing is they really start pushing TCW. I mean, half of the Star Wars Insider issues had TCW covers. You know how many covers of Ginny Tartakovsky's Clone Wars series there were in Star Wars Insider, Dylan?
I have no idea. Probably 1.
2.
2.
1 for season 1, 1 for season 2. I had
Um,
both.
this actually, again, this theory actually perfectly coincides with Timothy Zahn's fall when he just started writing his own stuff. Because again, he hadn't written anything during 2000 to 2005, and then it's Outbound Flight, Allegiance, and then
When did Survivor's Quest come out?
Survivor's Quest. That was 2004.
Yeah, because I remember it was a big deal when Survivor's Quest came out. But can anyone actually remember the plot of Survivor's Quest? Exactly. It's a very forgettable book. The only thing I remember is that Luke and Mara Jade fight a destroyer droid because that's what the Pablo Hidalgo put in his essential readers.
Yeah, that's what they commissioned for it.
Yeah, it's a good piece of art, but like it's weird. But yeah, we get like you start seeing a lot of one-off things, like, or if things were part of a series, they're not being labeled as such. Like Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm. I mean, technically speaking, the Jack's Path in Septology is its old unofficial series.
Yeah, and that's basically its end.
I don't think it was meant to be the end, because I think there would have been more of it had it continued, because the Last Jedi doesn't really end that storyline. It kills one of the main characters. Spoilers, by the way, but
yeah. But yeah, and like the whole Karen Travis fallout happens around this time. Karen Travis was whether she was a good author or not, she was a big name. You know, I could argue she was the second biggest Star Wars author name, like ever. You had your Zahn, you got your Travis. Who's Travis fans got so mad at us they left us a negative review on iTunes. Our podcast doesn't have that many reviews, but that's the bad one. They're like, good podcast, but made fun of Karen Travis, so I can't watch. I paraphrased
really,
it. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
I
left it up because it made me cackle.
look, just okay. Karen Travis is good like half of the time.
She's good when other people tell her what to write. Well, no, she's not, because her books have her Legacy of the Force books are funky. She was good in the beginning before she got her ego. Hard Contact is a solid book.
Mm-hmm. I would even put No Prisoners.
No Prisoners, I would put second. Her Clone Wars novelization is also really good.
Yeah, it's this isn't saying much, but it is better than the movie. Actually, I would honestly say, if you want to consume the Clone Wars for some reason, read the book, don't watch the movie.
I would say it's easier to find, but they did put the Clone Wars movie on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. It's the lowest rated Star Wars movie ever. It's rated lower than the holiday special on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it rated worse than the Ewok movies?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if the Ewok movies have critic reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. But yeah, no, it has like an 18% on Rotten Tomatoes. That movie's horrendous. And that's one of those things when you fight with Clone Wars fans, like Ahsoka fans and stuff, because I've had the misfortune of doing that. And I'm not condoning fighting with Clone Wars fans. You don't get anywhere.
We've already got Evan in the comments of this video, probably. We mentioned.
No, it's like saying Bloody Mary 3 times in the mirror. He just comes in and just argues with me. Anyway, but yeah, no, it's like they're like, well, the movie was terrible. That seems to be the general consensus, is it was awful. And the animation was horrible. I remember it looking bad at the time. It's aged worse, though. Those first, like, 3 seasons of Clone Wars are really horrendously animated. By season 4, it gets better. But, like, I remember I watched the last season of Clone Wars. I have not bothered with Bad Batch, nor do I plan to, because their story was it was meh. It wasn't the worst story. That'd be Ahsoka hanging out with Sideshave and her sister for like a couple episodes that literally don't make any sense and are filler, so they could have the final showdown between Ahsoka and Maul that no one asked for. Where they hired Ray Park to just be the they put him in motion capture, mocap, to do a lightsaber fight, so it looks really funky. Because it's the only lightsaber duel that they did that for that entire series.
But the lightsaber duels was like the one thing Clone Wars got right, because they actually For whatever reason, the one care in the EU that Clone Wars had was in staying consistent with the lightsaber forms of which characters fought which way and how the forms were. That was like the one thing they did right. That was the one thing that he actually cared about doing, or someone actually cared about doing.
Oh, Iron Inquisitor is in here. Hello. Good to see you. Good to see all of you. I missed you guys. It's been like we joke about legends not being a thing. Me making a video hasn't been a thing in a long time. I've mainly focused on paper movies and doing podcasts with quality autism. I actually have a freaking haul uploading right now. If it hasn't released already, it took an hour.
Ooh.
So who knows? Yeah. I share this gem, a hardcover of Boba Fett Hunted, which is a library exclusive that I found on eBay for really cheap. I don't think they knew what they had. So yeah.
Oh yeah, the stances weren't correct, but the swordplay was.
I just remember it originally being really herky jerky and it got better as it went. Because I remember actually kind of enjoying the Sidious versus Maul and Savage Opress. How can you like that name? Savage Opress. Savage Opress.
Okay, here's the better question about that fight. Why does Sidious have a lightsaber? Because he hated those things. He
Why
only
does he
used
have
it.
two of them?
Yeah, why does he have two of them? He hated them. He only used them because he absolutely had to.
Because he feels like he has to deal with it? I don't know. Dave Filoni can't read. This has been discussed in like every episode of this podcast.
And why is Sidious going after like the reason Sidious fought Mace Windu and the council members and Yoda was because he had actually wanted to do it for so long, and he was just waiting for. Why does Sidious care about Savage Opress? He doesn't like to fight people. He sends other people to do his business unless he absolutely needs to do it himself.
I don't know. That's in like the same arc where he force chokes Dooku through a hologram. Do you remember that? I don't know if that's possible in Star Wars logic.
Well, Luke pinned Kitus to his chair while he was in his starfighter on the other
Luke's
side of the system.
Son of Space Jesus, though.
You are correct.
Sidious was powerful, but the only reason Space Jesus was even possibly created is because he and Plagueis, two Sith, were doing Force experiments in theory, which in the new canon they kind of made a thing. Like a while ago, Charles Soule had this like creepy imagery that Vader's having this nightmare of like old gross Palpatine like rubbing his mother's pregnant stomach, which that's a visual that will haunt my nightmares for the rest of my life.
Papa Wedge, he has Dooku, he has Ventress, he has Grievous. All of them are supposedly Jedi killers.
Which in Filoni's Clone Wars is a joke.
Yeah.
In reality for a made up thing. In the Clone Wars multimedia project, Dooku had his Sith acolytes, which Quinlan Vos was one of.
Mm-hmm.
Undercover.
I guess technically, even though she wasn't alive by then, Kamari Vosa would have been one of them as well.
Well, it just dawned on me. I was reading something or watching a video where Ventress's lightsabers are Kamari Vosa's.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I could be wrong, but yeah, they are. Well, they're identical for one thing. And this is why Dooku, when he gives Ventress the lightsabers in Jyn Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, she didn't build them.
Yeah, because her originals was one that she had built, and her pseudo master that got abandoned on her home planet had. And then when he died, she took his lightsaber and dueled with the two of them until Dooku destroyed them.
Yes, in a duel where Dooku is just awesome.
Yeah, man, Dooku is so. I told you this. I like a few months ago. I recently reread. Uh, I guess this is kind of a segue into what we're reading, but but it was a while ago. I reread the Revenge of the Sith novelization, and
Yes,
man is the Dooku scene so tragic and so like
it
amazingly
is.
told.
It is the best way they could have done that duel. The best way. And his plan, which is never talked about in the Clone Wars timeline of their vision. Because in the only time I can really think of, besides, I don't really remember Yoda Dark Rendezvous that well, which we get a lot of Dooku in that, as I recall. But
Mhm.
like, I recently, in the last 2 years, had the misfortune of reading the Miller books, Wild Space, Stealth, and Siege. And in those, it's just Sidious complaining about how Dooku's old. Just a waste of opportunity. They should have done the only times I can think of where we get young Dooku in the EU are what I'm reading, which is Jango Fett Open Seasons.
And Legacy
And
and Secrets of the Jedi, right?
yes, yes, we do get, but pretty much you don't see. Oh, and you get a little Dooku as Jedi in Plagueis, but
Yeah.
he's not dueling or anything. You see him as a diplomat, and you get young Qui-Gon, not a
Mhm.
Padawan Qui-Gon, but like a young knighted Qui-Gon.
Yeah, I think he's pre Obi-Wan Qui-Gon in that.
I think he's pre-Xanatos Qui-Gon in that as well.
It skips around a lot because I remember you get pre and post Galadriel Dooku in that.
Yes, I can't wait for that to be re-released. That's was that next month?
March, I think.
March? Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're getting Kenobi and Wedge's Gamble and Dynasty of Evil.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be fun. Really excited for Wedge's Gamble.
Yeah, just for the audiobook, honestly.
I know that's my thing. So I didn't own Kenobi as an audiobook, so I just bought that with my Audible credit uh just yesterday.
It's a
So
pretty good audiobook.
I have never listened to it. I read it back, oh gosh, in 2016, 2017. I don't know.
It's post Xanatos, but pre Obi-Wan. Okay.
Thank you, Papa Wedge. So yeah, their Comixology had a big sale, Dylan. I'm just gonna say
Okay.
what we're reading. And I bought a couple Marvel Epic collections that are impossible to find because I'm selling pretty much all my Epic collections so I can buy the next two Marvel omnibuses.
Hmm.
Pre-order them, the Empire and the New Republic. So I'm selling all my Epic collections to pay for that because I'm also like moving when the New Republic comes out. And I just pre-ordered Rise of the Sith. Actually, I pre-ordered that a month ago. So I picked up the Menace Revealed volumes 1 and 2 and the Clone Wars volumes 1 through 3. And I started reading Menace Revealed Volume 1, and it opens with Jango Fett Open Seasons.
Ooh.
And what a way that, and then I knew right away why this epic collection is so flippin' expensive. Because Rise of the Sith, you know what that opens with?
Hmm.
It's so bad. I can't believe they did this. It opens with Tales stories. All those Mace Windu tales that Matt Wilkins avoided and then got called out and had to go do like a retcon episode, the first of those in Matt's expanded universe to talk about a bunch of Tales things. But yeah,
Who
it
cares?
opens with a bunch of Mace Windu tales that don't make really any sense. And then Yaddle the Yaddle story that everyone's like, oh, it's the best Tales story ever.
Oh, is that the one where she dies?
No, that's in Jedi Quest. It's the one where you figure out her origin when she's trapped underground forever.
Oh, okay.
And she liberates the city, and then even though she never made it to knighthood, they put her on the council against Yoda's wishes. It's also one of those times where you see Yoda's yellow lightsaber, because it was between episodes 1 and 2 when everyone had weird lightsaber colors. Except for Mace Windu, he had the most normal one. He had a blue one. But yeah, what are you reading? I'm also reading, actually, before I jump in, I'm actually halfway through my reread of Jedi Apprentice: The Rising Force. My goal this year is to get through this series, which I meant to do last year, but things happened.
My goal this year is to get through the Force Unleashed duology, because I still haven't started book 1.
I mean, I don't blame you. It's Sean
next on
Williams.
it's next on the list, and I'm just like, why? I just don't have the motivation to pick it up. Maybe one day.
Yeah, I mean, Rob D, good luck. Those are really expensive. I have the Tales of the Jedi ones, which I bought them, and the last Tales of the Jedi Redemption, half the pages are missing. I was so upset.
Oh, I guess that's another kind of news, not news thing, was when Lucasfilm had that thing on the holiday. One of the things mentioned on like their holiday something was like Tales of the Jedi, and people were like, "Oh, we're getting Tales of the Jedi," or "There's going to be something called Tales of the Jedi." And then like a couple of days after that, um, Tales of the Jedi Volume 2, which actually collects the first part of the Tales of the Jedi omnibus, was announced. Which that might be it. There might be something, I don't know.
They might call an animated series Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah.
They're trying to reboot Droids, which is the strangest thing I've ever heard from. Actually, I shouldn't put it past them. They've done some of the dumbest things with this property that I've ever seen. The first being letting Dave Filoni have as much control as he does. That's baffling. That is utterly baffling. Another being, let's make a trilogy without a plan. That's another baffling one. Let's just redo things and ignore other things. That's another one they do. Let's focus on the High Republic and contradict lore that we've already established for that time period.
Let's get rid of the previous continuity so we can keep it all straight, and then 6 years later say continuity doesn't matter.
And then just add as many EU characters as possible. Did you hear that Darth Tenebris is now in the High Republic? Why?
Is he a Bith as well?
Told me this the other day. I was like, what?
Is he a Bith? Is he a Bith as well?
Who knows? I don't know. There was someone in a High Republic children's novel that had crate dragon armor on, but the new crate dragons look nothing like that, and they're more sandworms from Dune.
I have seen those.
The new ones for like from Mandalorian season 2.
Yeah, I've seen that one, and it eats the bantha with all the explosives on it. I've seen that.
Dude, that second season of Mandalorian is bad. Like the first one, I thought was pretty decent as far as new canon goes. There was like one episode that I thought was really good because Carl Weathers, it's the only one that he's in and he directs it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a standalone story. But most of them are Dave Filoni just jerking off to like making Clone Wars and Rebels.
He's I've seen it. He's like a pilot, isn't he, in that?
Yes, he has a cameo. He and Jon Favreau both have cameos as the most obese X-Wing pilots I've ever seen. Not to body shame.
Well, Jet Porkins and what's his face that had like the fart wedding exist as well.
Oh, what is the fart wedding? I don't know what this
You
is.
don't know about the fart wedding? I actually don't know.
You said me something about the fart wedding. I thought it was porno, so I didn't look at it.
No. So apparently there's a kids book that has a wedding where like everyone eats something and then it makes them all fart, and the ceremony is interrupted by everyone farting.
Oh God!
People who have read canon, what is what in chat who have read canon? Back me up on this. This is the thing, right? I've only heard about it from other people. I haven't actually read it myself.
God, why? But no, like Ahsoka's in there, of course, because Ahsoka, like we said 2 episodes ago, Ahsoka is the new Kakruk.
Join the Resistance, escape from Vodran. Book 2 is when it happens.
Or like escape from a fart rat. Like it's just terrible. What on earth would make someone say, you know what Star Wars needs? More flatulence. All right. Make that a t-shirt, Geeks Attic. Put it up on our merch store.
Papa Wish, it's canon. Yes, it's canon. It's in canon. I will have to Rob D. They'll have to consult with Raptor on that. I sincerely hope you're true. I wish I was true. Again, I don't know. I haven't read it. I've only heard
Star
from other
Raptor
people.
is such a positive man. He will put a positive spin on it, and I am fascinated. He's one of the most positive human beings I've ever met. When his Legos fell in the trash, he said, oh well.
It's a Snap and Carrie's wedding.
Oh God.
Snap Wexley.
Also known as Fat Wedge Jr.
Yeah.
This is the podcast where we get yelled at for body shaming. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just like if you're in a military, there's regulation. I don't care if it's a rebellion or not. Like,
well, there's also size restrictions because they're in like a cockpit in a snub fighter, which is it's like the smallest thing they can possibly in X-wing that they can fit a hyperdrive on.
Yes.
Because I remember kind of World War II knowledge, they actually had because the Soviets had this issue where they didn't have enough steel, so they had to make their tanks like really small. So they had like a height requirement that you could not be taller than this height to be a tank operator because otherwise you just wouldn't fit in them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, there are fitness requirements in militaries. You don't see obese stormtroopers or just overweight stormtroopers. And you don't see a lot of like, I'm just saying it just didn't work. It was a funny sort of cameo, but unfortunately it was foreshadowing for what was to come, which was Ahsoka's looking for Thrawn so she can fight Ezra because some people still care about rebels. And then like freaking what's her face from Death Watch that was like Duchess Satile's sister is there, who by the way has aged remarkably well in what 25 years. I don't know how long it's been since.
Are they going to keep the canon that the Mandalorians figured out the de-aging thing?
They'll probably rip it off and ruin it.
The only thing I can think, because apparently they did. I think in Legacy of the Force, they run into Jang Scarita, and he says, "Yeah, we eventually figured out how to like stop the de-aging process, like the accelerated aging process."
Yes, but like there was the whole thing because Boba Fett's a thing in that. I don't know how much you know about Mandalorian season 2.
I only know what I've seen secondhand, which is the Dune Worm.
Luke?
And
did you see Luke?
yeah, Yeah,
Luke in this horrible motion capture.
I've seen the meme of the guy crying over Luke.
Oh my god! Oh yeah, what was that? I can't remember his name. He did that Darth Vader short. That was pretty decent. He has all those really cringy shirts that have Star Wars people with meme glasses on.
By the way, is Rebels still going on?
No, Rebels ended a long time ago. It got
Okay.
canceled. It ended with season 4, which was a shit show. Because I will give this credit. Rebels seasons 1 and 2 in particular is pretty decent, except for when Dave Filoni does what he did in Mandalorian season 2. He jerks off the fact that he made Clone Wars. So a bunch of Clone Wars characters show up. He does the same thing in Mandalorian, where like they fix the whole thing of Mandalorians can't take off their armor. You find out that Mando, he is part of a zealot cult and never realized it. Of Mandalorians that have separated off from the other Mandalorians. So he has issues with, oh god, I can't, someone who is the leader.
Wait, so the Death Watch Mandos are the good guys are the good Mandos in canon?
Well, no. These people when Maul took over Death Watch and then became Mandalore, they're the people that ran away. Do you remember that?
I don't.
When he kills the Vizsla, that Prima Vizsla,
I
which
stopped
is
watching
not
Clone Wars
related
by
to
that.
the other Vizsla that's in Jango Fett Open Seasons.
I stopped watching it well before that.
Because that's in like season 4 or 5. He takes over Death Watch. Maul takes over Death Watch and starts a crime empire, where we find out that everyone in Black Sun looks like Caesar. They're all the same race because remember when he had the episode where Quinlan Voss acted like a dumb surfer and he and Obi-Wan like had to capture Zero the Hutt, and Zero goes to all the huts, and there's the Scarface hut, like the Tony Montana hut. There's the Marlon Brando Godfather hut, and they just speak utter nonsense. Do you remember that?
I wish I didn't.
Well, he does something similar-ish where he decides that everyone in Black Sun is a Falleen.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing. Oh, Prince Caesar is now part of new canon. He's referenced in the Marvel comics, I guess. I saw a panel of that. Anyway, but yeah, and like someone help me here. Like, who is she's supposed to be the leader of the Mandalorians, but she doesn't end up with the dark saber because the Mandalorian beat Moff Gideon. What's her name? And she's like all butthurt that like she'll have to fight Mando for the right to wield the dark saber.
Why do they care? Why would the Mandalorians care about a Jedi weapon?
Because that was the first Jedi Mandalorian who wielded that weapon. The fact that there was a Jedi Mandalorian is baffling to me.
Why would they care? It's the only Mandalorians that have Jedi weapons are because they have them as trophies because they killed one.
Yeah, and then the thing is, so like we find there's like a theory that the dark saber is more powerful than Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan is her name. And she's a dunk ass in it. She's not as dunk assy as she has like a sassy like smart mouth and like sidekick Mandalorian that's like new created for that, and she's the worst, and she and Boba Fett get in like a weird fight. She starts fighting an elderly man. Which, by the way, Boba Fett's like half Tusken now. But like he becomes part of the Tusken Raiders, I guess, in Book of Boba Fett. But I have not seen that. People, I don't have Disney Plus. My girlfriend has Disney Plus, but we have just started the prequel trilogy rewatch. We watched Phantom Menace. She was not very thrilled. I was not very thrilled.
Really, Phantom Menace?
It's just not that good of a movie.
Mm.
It's got bad Jar Jar and Jake Lloyd.
I guess.
And then like she's like, "Want to watch Attack of the Clones?" I'm like, "Do you want to sit for 2.5 hours?" Because she is not like watching like sitting for that long. She's not like sitting for like a 2 hour movie typically.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "No," and I'm like, "I don't blame you." So we haven't watched Attack of the Clones yet. So yeah, we'll get to there. Papa Edge Phantom Menace is a masterpiece. I mean, compared to Rise of Skywalker, the one of the worst to try. I thought it was the worst sequel to a movie I'd ever seen, but I saw Halloween Kills recently and Ghostbusters Afterlife. And those movies are horrendous. Let's have a nostalgia. I've never agreed with Red Letter Media so much ever than with their two half in the bag reviews of those atrocities to cinema. It's like we're gonna get an explicit tag because I've said jerking off so many times. I try not to swear, but there isn't any other way of like just fanboys beating off to like Ghostbusters. It's like, Harold Ramis did not care about nostalgia. It's like, and Geeks Addict's gonna get so mad. I told Geeks Addict that I thought that Ghostbusters Afterlife was worse than Ghostbusters 2016. Because at least Ghostbusters 2016 got that Ghostbusters is supposed to be a comedy.
Oh man, how are you still friends?
We didn't speak the rest of the day. But no, I just he and I are we bond over other things than Ghostbusters. Like our love of movie novelizations. You should check out Paper Movies. But Halloween Kills is the worst sequel. And that's saying something because Halloween is a franchise of god-awful sequels. But I tell you what, I would rather see Paul Rudd write runes on the ground to take care of Michael Myers or Buster Rhymes do kung fu on Michael Myers before I hear evil dies tonight 2,000 times in a movie where no one wanted to act and everyone is an awful, obnoxious character where they chase a crazy man out a window so he falls to his death, where the old sheriff from the first movie be like, he's turning us into monsters. This is just so bad. But Rise of Skywalker, that's like number 3.
Why couldn't it have ended at H2O?
Why couldn't it have ended at the return of Michael Myers? Because you have to sit through. I rewatched Halloween: The Revenge of Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm.
It has some of the worst cinematography I've ever seen in a movie. Well, that and Curse of Michael Myers both have horrible cinematography. They're just they're pretty much unwatchable. So they re-released. I know this isn't Star Wars, and we're like over an hour in, but like, why not at this point? Right? When else am I going to talk about the 4K restorations, Halloween's 1 through 5, that came out through Shout Factory? Which for Halloween,
you should do a disc case review on it.
Oh, they're not terrible. I do have a few things like this Kubrick box set that is the worst packaging I've seen in a while, where I literally ripped it trying to open it. There's a few. I should do some disc case problems. Some of these Criterion movies are baffling.
It's such an untapped niche.
I know. I rewatched the JMA disc case problems from like 10 years ago.
Those are 10 years old now? God, I'm old.
Well, they're close to it. The JMA channel turned 10 last year. I've been on YouTube making YouTube videos since in 2010 was my first YouTube video. Stupid Chainsaw Productions will turn 10 this year, which is bizarre. But yeah, no, for Halloween 1 and 2, it seems like they only cared about those two releases because they don't have the Halloween is owned by like 3 different companies. The Weinsteins own Halloween 6, H2O, and Resurrection, which will probably never see them get re-released. Which is a shame, I guess. I don't know.
But H2O is like the only semi-competent sequel because it actually has a good ending for the
Halloween
series.
2 is fine. So Halloween 2 is a ripoff of Friday the 13th that was a ripoff of Halloween.
Yeah.
That's Halloween 2. It's not terrible. They give you the TV cut, which cuts out a bunch of the film. You can get that's part of like the special edition release. But with Halloween 4 and 5 especially, they did not care. 3 too has some more special features. 3, I think, is the best sequel of Halloween because it has nothing to do with Michael Myers. But Halloween 2018 is not good. But Halloween Kills is the worst. It's worse than the Rob Zombie movies.
Oh god.
It is the worst because it doesn't even try to be its own movie. It references things that aren't canon anymore. Like Tommy Doyle, who was Paul Rudd's character in 6, he was a little boy in the first one. In the novelization, I don't remember it being in the movie, but I tried to read the novelization, and it's the first novelization I gave up on, and I refused to review. It's so horrible. He has a Cult of Thorn tattoo on him. That's from Halloween's 5 and 6. Why does he have a Cult of Thorn tattoo on? They're at the bar that all the fat rednecks that go and try to hunt Michael Myers in the 4th one, which is really funny because they kill a random mob. It's the thing I always remember from Halloween 4. That and the slutty sheriff's daughter who has doesn't wear pants through most of the movie, has the shirt Cops Do It by the Book that gets coffee thrown on her, so she has to get naked again to put on a different shirt. Like these are the things I remember like from that awful movie. But yeah, the bar they're in the same bar as that. They reference like H2O and stuff. They reference all these movies that aren't canon. Like, what's the point? Oh, some kids get killed by like Michael Myers, or like they get attacked by him, and they're wearing the Halloween 3 witch skeleton and pumpkin masks. Like, why? Hi, Scott.
So wait, it's referencing things that aren't canon, but also destroying the canon. Did Dave Filoni write this?
He might have ghostwritten it, and then on his resume to get like get this job, he put created Avatar: The Last Airbender. That was number 1.
He just directed like 8 episodes of book 1. That's all he did for Avatar.
Hey, he created that. He created Avatar. He created Star Wars. Just wait like 5 more years and he's going to say he and George came up with Star Wars. I mean, we made a joke about that on Minox Nest, but I think it's going to happen.
Who's listening to this podcast that actually knows what Minox Nest is?
No one. No one knows what Minox Nest is. That's okay. I can make a joke about you being John Sadler and no one would get it anymore. I made that joke. I called you John Sadler on Marco Polo chat and Adam didn't know what I was talking about. Which was kind of funny.
We've been around too long.
Dude, we've been doing Legends since 2015?
14, 15? Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, because I got banned from Minox Nest. Remember that?
Yeah, and this is what, episode 33? We've done...
It's like 37 or 38.
37? Excellent. We're almost at 40. We'll hit 40 episodes by our 10-year.
We need to do more of these because we're ranked so high on Audible.
Why?
For those of you who just tuned in, I was going through my Audible Star Wars recommendations and our podcast popped up number 3. And I like told my girlfriend, she's like, well, maybe, because I was thinking about doing Star Wars reviews on a different podcast. I'm like, maybe I just put them on Star Wars Legends. And I'm like, no, why don't I just get Dylan on here? We just actually do a Legends podcast. But anyway, any closing thoughts? We probably don't have questions. It's been like 8 months.
Papa Wedge doesn't know who John Sadler is and found a
Well, it's
horse
Dylan.
racer.
Dylan's John Sadler.
Okay, so real talk. John Sadler John Sadler was this guy we used to know. He was a semi-regular on Minox Nest and adminned a few Facebook groups.
We need to actually explain. Why don't we explain how we met first? Because this will make sense. So this guy, a fake Mandalorian by the name of Jango Fett, whose channel actually does worse than mine, even though it has a couple thousand subscribers, but I seem to get more views than him. I don't know how this works, but I'm going to throw shade at him because he treated us both really terribly for next to no reason. We used to do these Star Wars reviews Google Hangouts before StreamYard.
Man, there was remember Google Hangouts
and all of its bugs. Anyway, so Dylan and I met on the second episode, which I think John Sadler was also on. But I noticed this thing where he and John Sadler never talked at the same time. And they both lived in the same area. What state was it?
He lived in, it was Illinois. He lived one town away from the town that I graduated in, but and it was like, huh, that's interesting. But I had moved to California by then.
Allegedly. And I decided that both Dylan and John Sadler were the same person. And so I used to call Dylan John Sadler a lot. And I'm the only one that laughs at it. Because the real John Sadler got really, really angry. He got pretty pissed with me for like doing that.
He got pissed for a lot of reasons. He ended up leaving. He ended up like going cold turkey on social media because it was bad for him. And we haven't heard anything from him since.
It's been years. It's probably been close to 5 years.
Yeah, I want to say he left like right before the billboard went up. The original billboard. That's how long it's been.
Rob D, does he get? I don't know. So here's the thing. I sometimes go on when I feel like making a review. And for all honesty, I shit on Django. I don't really have hard feelings for that whole thing. I think it worked out for all of us, to be honest. I know I'm backpedaling here. He and I, it was just what he did. He and I were really close for a long time. And I credit him for Legends wouldn't get the viewership it does because of it wouldn't be possible because of Django. Django introduced Dylan and me. If it weren't for Django, I wouldn't have met Tristan, who then would introduce me to Matt Wilkins. We were all this tight group.
Mm-hmm. And Geeks Addicts as well. We wouldn't have met Geeks Addicts if it wasn't for Django.
Yeah. We wouldn't. Even Dark Snovia, who we really don't get along with, we wouldn't have been as good of friends with him at the time. We were in the trenches of fighting with Disney for so long, and for the dumbest, pettiest bullshit with a shitty little ass channel who he can't even be on the website, and he takes most of his videos down because he talks so much fucking shit about it. And I'm going off. This is the last time I want to talk about B-level Star Wars ever and our fucking beef. I will give it that. It came from he was bullying my friends, and the old ranter in me, which I shouldn't have done, decided, oh, fuck it. I'm going to start shit with him. And I did. And he wouldn't back off. And it's the weird, I've never had, and I have, from back in my last channel days where I pissed people off on a regular basis, even when I pissed off the James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd fans, it was nothing compared to the Council in Exile. They are just the worst people. Not all of them are bad. Like some of them, like Iron Inquisitors, like, hey, this is fucking weird. And I don't want to speak for Iron Inquisitor. He can come on if he wants and talk about it. But like they were so toxic and they wanted to fight the fandom menace, which there's quite a few people toxic in the fandom menace. And it was the dumbest thing for the movement. Dylan, correct me if I'm wrong. It was one of the worst things that happened to the movement.
I wouldn't say the worst. We had a lot. The early days were really rough.
I mean, yeah, with Edward and all that, but like this was the worst thing to happen in a while. And they attacked Twin Sons and said that they claimed you were getting cuts of charity money,
which is illegal,
which is just slanderous, and there was just so much slander and libel and just oh god. Rob D just put up I still remember how much B-level Star Wars lost his shit when Matt Wilkins became friends with Ryan Kinnell. Yeah. That's how he really started to get his freaking views. And I'll never forget when he and I were supposed to debate. I was going to go on there and argue with him, which can you guys imagine the shit show that would have happened if I gave him the time of day? And a lot of people told me no. And that's why I didn't do it. Like a lot of people said no. And I'm like, you're right. I am an adult. I'm not the shitty teenager I was when I used to make all my rant videos and start shit with people. I've grown up and I should act like an adult. And he tried to manipulate me into fighting with him, and like Dark Snovia like started shit with me, and they all just like came down. They shit on me for 2 fucking days. My phone went off nonstop because they wouldn't stop fucking commenting. It was just ridiculous. And it's just like it's so bad because Django, we were all part of the Star Wars Reviewers group, and shit went south immediately in our admin chat.
Mm-hmm. It was that and another thing that happened.
Oh, yeah. There was some political disagreement, which we don't necessarily follow the political thought that Django thinks we do. But we were talking politics in there, and he really stopped engaging with us before that.
Or after that, yeah.
Well, after that, my bad. But here's the thing. Django and I were so close. He called me the day after the fire happened, where I lost my house and was homeless, to see how I was doing. Like that's how we were. We were good friends. And then that thing, this little trivial pissing match, just causes us not to be friends. And he's not part of that thing anymore. So, I don't know. I'm sorry for shitting on you, Django. I doubt you'll ever watch this, but, if you ever want to come on, you're welcome to come on or chat with either of us. I'm assuming Dylan would be fine with it, too.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of water that needs to go under the bridge with this, obviously. But yeah, the fucking B-level Dark Snovia nonsense, because it really boiled down to the two of them, and they all those people that like stayed for as long as they did, they stayed because Dark Snovia had the subscriber numbers. But they've sort of imploded, I guess. I don't know. I see nothing of them anymore. But yeah, Dylan has gone silent. He is solemn Dylan on his urine couch.
No, I'm just reading the chat.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, like Papa Wedge. He was genuinely kind, and then he just said, "We're not going to post Matt Wilkins videos," because we used to put Matt Wilkins expanding universe reviews in Star Wars reviewers. I think it was the only thing that really got traction. And Geeksack and I posted our reviews on there. Yeah, no, he's B-level meme lord, I think now.
Mm-hmm.
He changed his name. No, he's B-level media group. What a that's I think what he is now.
I don't know if you heard about this or I told you this, but right after we all got kicked out of the reviewers group, Brian actually put a promotional post about a twin. I think it was the Twins on Second Billboard campaign going up, and Django commented on it, like eventually took it down, going like, "Hey, you're not supposed to post this here." And I remember Brian told me, "Yep, I unfriended him and I friended Ryan Kittle."
That's a guy.
I left the group.
I'll tell you what, Ryan Kittle, for all of his ranting and stuff, is a really nice guy.
Yeah,
he is. He was really kind to me during that time, and I do appreciate him. And he was on here. He actually was on the Legends podcast.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people on.
It's the only time you weren't on the Legends podcast, Dylan, because you were too busy with school. That's something.
Yeah. Oh, I guess life update. I have a degree now and a job. That's a thing that happened.
Yeah, and it's not just getting urinated on that couch and getting quarters thrown at him. It's like a quarter to pee on him.
Right before this happened, I noticed I had a quarter on my desk, and so he said, "We're going live." Like, okay, let me put this quarter away.
God, the quarter episode. I don't think I ever released that. That was so bad. This is just friendship right here. Just two dudes who had to sleep next to each other in a tiny ass hotel room because Matt booked it and realized, oh, I forgot to get 2 beds.
Oh yeah, the bed that I made that was 2 chairs and a pillow.
And a Star Wars comforter from the 80s that Matt has had since he was a child. I didn't bother to sleep that way. I think the time I had to sleep on the ground, Dylan.
Oh yeah, you slept on the ground. I slept on my makeshift bed because we rotated the who gets to sleep on the floor, and I had the first day, so I made my little like chair bed, and Matt slept in the chair bed, and you were just like, "No, I'm just gonna sleep on the floor."
And I didn't sleep, which was a really bad thing. I think I slept for like 2 hours, then I got up and I texted my now ex for like most of it, and she was like not thrilled that I was texting her so ungodly early because it was a 2-hour time difference.
Oh, Papa Lights, I'm just far away from my camera. Also, this isn't a basement. There's only one. I'm in an apartment. There's only one floor. Also, we don't have these things called basements in California because we have these things called earthquakes.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have them in Northern California because lava cap. It's too hard to dig. It's not worth it, typically. Sometimes you do. Like my room, the big room I had in my old videos before the fire, that room, one side of it was in the side of the canyon. The other side was like, I had 2 doors, and sliding glass doors, and I could walk out and I had my own deck and stuff. It was a cool studio.
Yeah.
That was a dope ass room. The only thing you needed was I live in a studio now, and it's nowhere near as cool. It's only half the size of that. That thing was
It's better than the place you were living at with those roommates for a while.
Which ones?
I've
lived with 20 people and liked 3 of them.
I don't remember. I just remember there were some Legends podcasts where you had to like tell them to shut up.
Oh, when I was upstairs, the drunken ones?
I think so.
Oh, that was when I lived with the white supremacists. Oh, that was awful.
You lived with
That wasn't as bad. I lived with a drug dealer.
Not actually.
That's a true story. I lived with white nationalists that were pretty much white supremacists, and just, oh god, I was dating a black girl at the time, and she dumped me. It was so It was so embarrassing. That was a year of embarrassment. Man babies, their parents bought them a house so they could teach them how to be adults when one was 30 and the other one was 28. All they did was play video games and scream all the fucking time. Oh god, that was so bad. I could barely ever film. I could only film like when COVID happened. I think I filmed a few videos because they would work and I lost my job because they were essential employees. So I got the house to myself. That wasn't so bad, but in the night I just didn't sleep. But no, I lived with a drug dealer at my last place. That was horrible. He tried to have me jumped by his gang friends. That's why the Last Legends podcast has never been uploaded to Anchor to be distributed. That was when I was like fleeing and couldn't live at my house, that I had 2 months lease time and I couldn't get out of my lease. So he just trashed the place while the rest of us like fled. And they were just like junkies all over the place. They pooped in a toilet till it clogged, and they kept pooping in it till it ran out of water. So you lifted it up, there was so much fecal matter that the toilet could barely close. They broke. That was the second toilet they had broken. Because I put a lock on mine in one of my roommate's bathrooms. My other roommate had to share a bathroom with him, and he wouldn't go to the bathroom. He would pee in bottles. He would not poop because he worked in the Bay on the weekends. He would only poop Saturday and Sunday.
Was he on like that military? Was he eating like MRE? So only
No,
poops
he
once a
wasn't.
week?
He was eating canned food though. He was cooking with a cook stove in his bedroom. He didn't leave unless he had to. Rob D, thank you for that, Jeremy.
Hey, remember when this was a Star Wars podcast?
Yeah, I don't know. It was flipping wild. I can tell you that. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. It's that nightmare. You could do backpedalers on it, but not tonight. Anyway, any closing thoughts? Star Wars?
Revenge of the Sith novelization is good. You should read it.
It's okay.
It's okay? Oh, that's right. You hate Stover.
I dislike Silver. I won't say I hate him. I like Shatterpoint. I like Shatterpoint quite a bit. Except for when it becomes
Shatterpoint. How did you like the Shatterpoint audiobook? Did you
Oh yeah, with Sullivan Jones? Oh, he's
Mhm.
really good. It made the first person journal stuff a lot better. Which was one of my problems I had with reading Shatterpoint, which is why I had never finished it. But I don't like Luke Skywalker in the Shadows of Mindor, like at all. I mean, I don't need 2 pages on how a TIE Defender works. Like, I don't care. If I wanted to read that much about a Star Wars ship, I'd read one of the schematic books. Like, I don't care. It doesn't add anything to the story other than padding.
Papa Wedge somehow Darth Maul returned? That's so good. Yeah, Stover's great. Jeremy's wrong.
I have a very unpopular opinion. That is true. Oh, Matthew Wilson, the Geeks Addict, did not care for the second half of Shatterpoint because there was too much war. It's like, this is the Vietnam Star Wars book. And I'm like, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's based on Apocalypse Now, kind of.
Which is loosely based off of Heart of Darkness. And this is when I say Apocalypse Now is an overrated movie. And offend a bunch of movie people who are like, oh, it's the best thing ever. It's the best adaptation of Vietnam. That's like a combination of a nerd and Marlon Brando. Pretty good.
You pissed off Papa Wedge. Mindor is awesome. I actually haven't read Mindor. So I'll have to.
Oh yeah, you skipped Mindor and Tatooine Ghosts and Scourge.
Yeah, I skipped when I went through the Bantam era. I skipped the Del Rey additions to the Bantam era.
I mean, I'd rather read Shadows of Mindor than Tatooine Ghost. I don't think Tatooine Ghost adds much of anything except for the conception of Jaina and Jason. Is in that. As Choi Den as a freaking Quality Autism would put it, he's a sex pervert.
Yeah, I guess Jedi Trial. I saw Jedi Trial more as like a World War I, World War II book. Scott Johnson, who said it is both a Shatterpoint and Jedi Trial of the Vietnam books.
Isn't that the one where Anakin's knighted?
Yeah.
Which is wrong because of Filoni's Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Which Matt Wilkins did the best best attempt to fix continuity with that.
Yeah. Yeah, the other Vietnam Star Wars story I remember. Well, everyone says the Umbara arc from CW, but that doesn't work because the Republic won at Umbar. The point of Vietnam is that we lost, which is why I think Jabim is the better example of it.
Yeah. Umbara is interesting because it's a Jedi that's fallen to the dark side, kind of, but for the greater good.
Yeah, and he just hates clone troopers for some reason.
Yeah, and he wields 2 double-bladed lightsabers for fan service purposes.
Also, he's Dexter Jettster species for fan service purposes.
That is true. They have another one of those in the new canon book, Battlefront Twilight Company. And he ends up losing an arm and getting a mechanical one. And he carries machetes or something. I remember him being kind of cool. That book's not terrible. Anyway. So I think we should just end this.
Yeah, it's been an hour and a half over.
My girlfriend's texting me where are you? So, yeah. Anyway. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.